Plagiarism is a very serious topic which needs to be discussed. Simply put, it's just not worth doing. So, in order for you to understand what it is, first we're going to define it. We're going to talk about what happens if you do it, and then we'll talk a bit about how to avoid it. So, what is it? And in a nutshell, it's taking someone else's ideas, thoughts, words, phrases, and basically taking credit for them, expressing them as though they were your own. So the fundamental concept here is that an individual should be given the credit for the things that they create, be those things ideas, words, thoughts, or physical creations or images. So simply put, if you use their ideas, words, and images and don't give them credit, you're committing plagiarism. From the APA Manual, 7th edition, on page 254, plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, or images of another as your own. It denies authors or creators of content the credit they are due. So that's very specific here because it's not just the exact words, it is the thoughts, it is the ideas. So whenever you're taking someone else's article and replacing words in it and presenting it as though it's your own, you're stealing from them the credit for the work that they did. So what happens if you do it? The first offense, you're going to receive a 0 in the submission. And you're also recorded as having had that first offense. What that means is that whenever you commit the second offense, you will fail that course. And then the third offense, you will be removed from the university. And understand that this goes onto your transcript. It's something that is permanent. It does not go away. And it's an indication of issues with academic integrity. So how do you avoid it? First and foremost, cite your sources. If you read something and use it, you want to cite it. You only include sources which you do cite. So don't include other sources other than those things that are actually contributing to the paper, and you want to assign where you got the ideas in your paper by putting a citation on the first sentence where you use it. And another way is do not use another paper as the outline for your paper. A common trend that I've seen is that students will take one paper, one post, use it as though it were the outline of what they should say, and they'll change enough of the words so that it doesn't show up in safe assign, which we'll talk about in a moment. But another way to avoid plagiarism is to get your thoughts organized before you actually start reading particular papers. Figure out what it is you're going to say and in what order you're going to say them. Uh, a key thing is to just not replace words with synonyms or phrases. There's several reasons you don't want to do that, but first and foremost, you're stealing the people's thoughts and their ideas. That is the fundamental reason you don't want to do that. And what you want to do instead is paraphrase what you've read. And what that means is say it using your own words, not their words changed about, but using your own words. Typically, it's going to be in less words than what they used. So you're going to take their ideas, you're going to read them, think about them, and write what they were saying and why they were saying it. Don't quote without using APA quotation. So if you're going to quote somebody, only do that sparingly. You shouldn't do it often, and you only do it whenever it's really the right thing to do. Most of the time, do not do it. Instead, paraphrase. Rephrase what they've said using your own words and then cite it. That is the way to avoid plagiarism. Another thing is do not self-plagiarize, which means do not submit works from previous classes or even different universities as though it's the first time you're writing it. You can do that in some circumstances in certain places, but you have to always state this is rework or this is resubmission of a previously published work. So in general, you want to stay away from doing it. So what is safe assign? Because I've heard several students seem to think that that is the determination of when they've created plagiarism, and it is not. It is a tool which is used to detect plagiarism, but it's not what determines if you plagiarize. That's me, your instructor. I look at what you wrote, and I determine if it's too close to the source or if you didn't give them credit. So don't try to adjust your paper to lower your safe assign score. That's a common pattern I've also seen where people will go through and replace words and try to get the score down to 0 even. If I see a paper that comes in with a score that is 0, I'm going to look at it very closely because most likely it is a work of plagiarism. The reason being If you cite correctly and you have sources and citations in your paper, that is going to change your safe assign score probably to be up in the 20s and 30s, maybe even 40s. So simply put, safe assign is a tool that will help you avoid it accidentally, but it is not the measure of determination. That is your instructor. So don't change words to try to lower the score in a section because what will result is something that is unintelligible. Somebody can't read it. Whenever somebody like me tries to sit down and read it, it's very obvious that that's what's occurred. So in general, don't do that. So in summary, cite every source you use. List only those sources that you cite. So that means basically make sure that there is, if you're citing someone, that you have a source that goes with that, and you only have sources where you have previously cited them. Don't change the words to try to lower your plagiarism detection scores because it's very obvious. Instead, you want to probably remove the offending section and rewrite it. If you quote, make sure you do it correctly. And lastly, and this is the thing that you really want to take away, plagiarism is very serious. It also involves your instructors and your department chairs having to do a lot of work, which is unnecessary if you would just write your own words. That's what we want, is we want to see what you write, not what someone else has written. If you have any questions, please let me know.